are going to be visiting the great state of Kentucky coming up as soon as we can find my good friend Larry Ward. Larry Ward 1. Where are you, Larry Ward 1? John Hardesty, Brian Pate. Thank you for checking all of these out, Brian. Where are you, Larry Ward? John, I hope you're giving Larry some guidance there. Andres, Craig Miller is back. Hello, Craig. Thank you for checking these out. We are still looking for Larry Ward 1. And we're going to have some fun coming up. I know many of you might not know who Larry Ward is, but you should. That's why we've got him on. There he is. Larry Ward. I'm going to add him in here. Sebi. Larry.
How you doing, Andrew?
How's it going, my friend?
Doing good.
That's good, man. You're looking good. You're looking good, brother.
Well, you know, not much of a tan these days. Been indoors.
Yeah. You know, I know here where we are, we're allowed to go out and, you know, kind of get some exercise and out and about to a certain degree, but not as much as I know you and I are accustomed to, that's for sure.
No doubt, yeah.
We're saving money on sunblock. Just think about it that way.
Yeah, that's a positive. Put that in the positive side of the chart there.
That's the thing, you know. We've got to each and every day. We've got to stay positive, and we've got to look at this. I loved. I don't know if you got to see. I think you did. Mark Crossfield this morning, and Mark had really just some great ways to look at it. And you know, the picture he painted for everybody was one where, you know, there's this big sale at a store, and people are jammed at the front door, dying to get in, and the door's locked. And what are we going to do? What are you going to do as a golfer, as a coach, as a person to be prepared and ready to go as soon as that gun goes off when that door opens, you know?
That's right. Yeah, no doubt. Mark was so good this morning. He's a high energy guy, and he's sharp, really smart. Great listening to him.
Yeah. I like the guy. He you know, and if Mark were here, I would say this. He's not like Sasha McKenzie smart, but he is, I got this figured out. I know how to do this. I see this into the future smart.
That's right.
Kind of guy. And he really does a fabulous job. So, Larry, excited to have you on. I'm going to tell everybody a little bit about you, and then I'm going to let you tell everyone a little bit about you. I have visited with Larry in the great state of Kentucky, the very blue part of Kentucky, and that has nothing to do with Republican, Democrat, and everything to do with Wildcats.
Absolutely.
Lexington, Kentucky, and Lexington is also known for thoroughbred racing. Well, Larry has, you know, he read the memo. He said thoroughbreds, Lexington, Kentucky. Okay, that's where I'll go. But he didn't read that it was about horses. He read that it was about golfers. And it's incredible, the couple of times I've been there, Larry, to see the number of amazingly good junior golfers that you have there, and the incredible job that you and your team, Tyler Grover, I know I'm going to forget a bunch of people, but that you guys are doing with the juniors that you've got there. And I thought it would be so good for people to be able to just hear some of your philosophy, some of your big picture approach, and what you do to get these kids so good.
You know, Andrew, our whole state's good. We're a really undervalued producer of junior golf talent. We're a very small, poor state. You wouldn't think, okay, we don't have a lot of the things you're supposed to have to produce the number of golfers we do. And I don't follow like all the junior golf scoreboard, all the rankings, all that. I've actually never been on any of those rankings. However, I do follow the other players in the state that are playing against my players, and I can tell you, this state is loaded. We had this class, the 2020 class, I believe we're sending 11 players to play in the SEC, Southeastern Conference, in this little bitty state. That's a lot. That's a lot, you know, because if you really think about it, we have Lexington, Louisville, and then we have Western Kentucky. We're broken up into kind of basically 4 golf regions. You know, Lexington, Louisville's a region, Western Kentucky, Northern Kentucky. That's where all the golf's being played. I'm from Eastern Kentucky. Grover's from Eastern Kentucky. Tyre's from Eastern Kentucky. And not a whole lot of known golfers there. But we have a good state. We're loaded.
Yeah, it was an eye-opener to me, for sure. You know, me being in kind of Hilton Head, Eastern Georgia area, you would think, oh, yeah, there's got to be tons of golfers there. You guys have, and I think it has a lot to do with what you're doing. Let's give credit here, because there's nothing in the water there that's not in the water anywhere else, although it does seem like it could be the case. Larry, first question I wanted to throw at you, Pods, and we're going to talk about some fun stuff. But first question I wanted to throw at you is, you know, you've got a great reputation. A lot of juniors that show promise will go, hey, you know, let's go and check this guy out. You know, High Performance Golf Academy. Let's go and check them out. What do you do when a junior and that junior's parents come to you for the first time, and how do you run them through kind of your program?
Well, first thing, a little bit about our academy is we're broken, pretty large academy. We have a director of junior golf, Nick Wilkins, who does developmental entry level on up. We have Myra Blackwelder, who does the LPGA Junior Girls Golf Program. A lot of the little small girls, and she has a lot of really good players as well. Grover Justice and Tyre Short. And we also brought in John Hardesty as our performance coach. And John does stats and basically speed building. We got a speed program that Sasha developed for us that we do. It's proprietary for us, and we've done really well with it. But for me personally, what I do is everything starts with an interview process. We sit down and I want to look the student in the eye, and I want to know that they want to be there. I want to know that they want to play golf. They want to take this thing as far as they can take it. I don't cherry pick to say, okay, I'm only going to take the good players. That doesn't matter to me at all. It's irrelevant. All I want is a player that wants to be there, that's respectful of their parents, that wants to learn, is easily coachable. And then once we figure that out, I won't let them make any decisions at all to join the program. I'll let them take a couple of days, go think about it, because I've already told them what I think they need to do to get to whatever goal they want to accomplish. Because we've already done that in the evaluation. We've already said, okay, you got to get faster, you got to get, you know, you've got to wedge it better, whatever we decide. But I won't let them get all caught up in the fact, well, this is really fun, I want to do it. I want them to go home, think about it, and then if they sign up for it, we're probably going to do a long-term program, usually about a year. Is kind of, I want to look out that far. You know, again, golf's a funny sport. It's the only sport that I know of that you do all your practice without your coach. So the only chance I have to influence this player is to spend a decent amount of time with them. So I want to at least see them 40, 50, 60 times a year. That's kind of the number, you know.
And those, each of those visits would be an hour,
an hour. Yeah,
okay.
I call them units. So we may say 3 units on the course. We may say 2 units would be a short game deal. But sometimes it's just as simple as weekly checkups, especially in tournament season.
Okay.
But that's kind of the way I do it. And it's really based on the long-term development.
And, you know, that's always something that when we've spoken in the past, and certainly when I visited you, you've had this long-term approach, and I love that. As somebody who teaches the everyday regular golfer, it's quite different. I can't say to someone who's flying in from Buffalo, hey, I want to see you every 2 weeks, and it's this 3-day school, and I've got to give them their package. Okay, go off, stay in touch. Let's use Coach Now. Let's communicate, but all the best. You understand quite clearly, and you communicate this very well to not only your juniors, but their parents, that if you want to get anywhere, it's going to take a long time. It's going to take a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think there's any shortcuts. I mean, I don't have a magic wand. If there's one out there, let me know. I'll buy it. But I don't have one, so we have to just form a team. The parents have to be very involved. We have to figure out how we're going to approach this, and write a nice, solid plan that we can always, we can always detour if we have to. We can call an audible if we need to, but we need to have the relationship. The students they're not going to follow you. They're not going to do what I ask them to do. They're not going to control their diet, work out, spend X amount of times doing short game drills, putting drills, etc., if they don't trust me. And the only way they're going to trust me is if I deliver good information, but they know that I'm looking out for their best interest. So the only way you can do that is just through time. Yeah.
And Larry, give us, I know there's a bunch of golfers here watching. There's a bunch of coaches watching. Can you give us some insights as to what you do to keep these kids engaged, keep them on the high performance pathway, so to speak, when they're not with you? Even if they're spending an hour a week with you, hopefully they're spending a lot more time than that working on their game. Do you give them programs and plans and challenges and those kinds of things? How do you keep them into what they need to be doing?
I'm pretty lucky. I'll be honest.
That makes two of us.
Yeah, I'm pretty lucky. I don't have to hold their hands too often. I've found, and I did this. I started down this deal 15 years ago, and I was like, okay, so I want to create the best practice plans. They're going to follow my schedule. They're going to do this, 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 and this. And then I've kind of morphed into a little more of letting kind of drive the boat. And so if they ask for a practice plan, I'll write it. But most of the time, the best players I've found, you give them the drills, give them all the short games. I've created about 50 practice games for my players to do on course, short games, putting games, things like that. And I give those out, but I don't necessarily have to say, hey, from 3 to 5, you have to do this. From 5 to 7, you need to do that. Most of my self-starters, for the most part. I'm pretty lucky there.
Okay. And Larry, do you use a particular app or is there anything you use to stay in touch with your students other than just, hey, text me or call me or something like that? Do you use a Coach Now or Skillest or something like that with your students to feed them stuff?
I personally don't. Mostly mine's more interaction of pick up the phone and call, text, things like that. However, I will say Tires uses Coach Now. Myra uses a version of it. Grover does as well. But I'm more of probably a little less in that area than
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And can you share like what's your favorite chipping game? Close proximity to the green. What chipping game do you find engages people the most?
I use a 3-club game or a 3-ball game. So the 3-ball game is really simple. You go out and play 9 holes, and then wherever your approach shot ends up, let's say it ends up on the green, you take it to the nearest point off the green, drop that ball in 2 more. If you miss the green, you just drop 2 additional shots. So
Okay.
if you get 3 out of 3 up and down, you record a birdie. If you get 2 out of 3 up and down, it's a par. 1 out of 3 is a bogey. 0 out of 3 is a double. And that's the score that they record for that hole. So basically, they're hitting 3 short game shots per hole. The other way we do that is we go 3 ball, 3 club. So now, same game, but you have to use 3 different clubs. And so now they drop their 3 balls down. They got to pick a pitching wedge, gap wedge, sand wedge. They still get scored the same. 3 out of 3 up and down is a birdie. 2 out of 3 is par. 1 out of 3 is bogey. 0 out of 3 is a double. And so they got to grind. So then if you get really lucky, they'll go out and play their buddy. Nice little wager on the line for a cheeseburger maybe. You go out and that's the game. And so first of all, you want to hit the green because you have an easier up and down. You don't want to short side yourself because you have a really tough up and down. So it really creates a lot of good sharpening the skill set there for them.
Larry, I must say I love that. I'm going to steal that one from you. Just while we're sharing short game favorite chipping games, my favorite one is one that I call the 9-ball drill. And it's done around the green. You're not on the golf course because most golfers, if they ever practice short game, are going to practice it around the chipping green or around the putting green. And so you've got 9 golf balls and you've got 3 clubs. I always encourage my students to have 3 different chips. It's low, mid, and high. So like you said, pitching wedge, gap wedge, sand wedge. For example, your low club, your mid club, your high club. And you've got 3 targets on the green, three holes, let's say, or 3 tees pegged in the green. And you're going to take your first 3 shots and you're going to go mid, mid, mid. 1 shot to each target. And you can grade yourself based on whether you like the shot or not. If you feel like it's a good shot, you get the point. If you don't, you get no point. Okay? So you got a chance for 3 points. Then you take your high club and you go to the same 3 holes. High, high, high. Did you get, how many points did you get? And then you go low, low, low. And so you're hitting 9 shots from the same spot, but they're all different. There's a great deal of variety, and I love the fact that players are keeping score and they're engaging themselves.
Yeah.
All the research I've read, and I'm sure you've read a lot of the same stuff that I've read, pertaining to learning and growth from golfers, from human beings ultimately, use the term, and ultimately they've got this word in there, it's engagement. And if they're into what they're doing, and that's why I love your game, because it ultimately speaks to what did you score for 9, not really what you scored as we know it, but what did you score with the short game drill, what did you score for 9? And once people associate a game, a challenge with a score, that's when they're going to get engaged and really start to get better. That's when growth happens.
Absolutely. No, I couldn't agree more. I really want my players to have fun practicing, but also understand that every shot you hit, there's an outcome. There's
consequence.
There's a consequence. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so whilst we're on this, I like this. Putting games. Favorite putting game? What you got?
So the best one for cleanup putts I do is called 3-4-5. So basically, you're going to pick 3 holes on the green. You have a flat hole, about a 1% slope, and then a 2. So you would go around the hole. First putt's a 3-footer, then a 4, then a 5, then you got a 3, a 4, and a 5. So that hole is 6 putts. The 3 holes that you have your 18-hole round, and 15.5 would be deemed as a pass. So if you use strokes gained math on those putts, you would then understand that 15.5 is a passing grade for a tour level putter.
Larry, I can tell that you have thought about this before. You didn't just make that one up right there. You've thought about this, and you've done the math, and you've come up. I really love that. I've got to count that as stolen. There's a lot. There's really so much good stuff, you know. And I was talking with Mark as well this morning, saying that it's incredible how statistics have shaped what we golf coaches do. It should be shaping what our students do on the practice tee each and every day, because statistics are going to illustrate to the golfer where they're strong and where they're weak. And
absolutely.
People will often say to me, Andrew, what's your favorite golf book of all time, golf instruction book of all time? And I go, can't really tell you. But if you really want to read a great book on golf, read Every Shot Counts by Dr. Mark Brody.
Absolutely. Yeah.
To me, that's the best golf betterment, golf improvement book written, because it just opens our eyes as both coaches and golfers to what really matters.
Yeah, absolutely. That was my commitment to hire basically a performance coach for the academy. When I say hire, it's a loose term, because the way we do the academy is all of us we're private, we're all, contract private guys. But with that being said, I can say, John, pull this bucket up for me. Tell me what Cooper's up and down percentage was on 30 to 50 yard shots when it was windy. So he can pull that bucket up. So what's his up and down percentage, 30 to 50 yard shots when it was soft? How about fast and firm? So now all of a sudden, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I need somebody to say, hey, coach, we got a problem here. We have a player that doesn't understand when it's wet. He's not adjusting his shot enough, because he doesn't understand what moisture does to the shot. He may not be aware that when he's trying to hit that shot in the morning, there's a little dew on the ground, that ball is coming off a little high, a little less spin. He's not really sure. So now all of a sudden we know that, okay, I don't overcoach. Now I can actually really coach and be like, hey, do you know why that you may be struggling when it's a little wet outside in the morning when you hit this shot? So, my big thing is I try not to overcoach. Yeah. I'm trying my best to supply as little information as I can. But if I can get an actual understanding, hey, Andrew, this is the part of your game that we've overlooked as a team, then I can go in there and make some adjustments.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like statistics are a big part of what you do as well, eh?
Absolutely. And everything is all strokes gained. I want to know there's strokes gained on, basically every aspect.
Yeah. And Larry, here's what do you guys use to gather those statistics?
So as crazy as it may sound, John has created his own template. The players understand how to record their information. I will say it's cumbersome. I'll be the first to say it's hard to do. Okay. Yeah. And so what happens is we start with trial runs. We start with some mock tournaments so that we're not getting in the way of their performance. And then they kind of get used to it. They've all of the guys and girls that are using it seem to be used to it. And as a matter of fact, they've all figured out that it's kind of fun to know this, that they actually can calculate strokes gained now themselves pretty easily.
That's cool.
Because they've done it a lot. Yeah. But I'll be the first to say I'm looking for the next best way to do it. So
I hear you. It's the technology is coming along to where it's going to be significantly easier. I'm an Oncourse ambassador. I've started using Oncourse. I've used it for 11 rounds, and I know that initially, when I first used it, it was almost like all I was thinking about. I could barely play golf. I'm like, did it record that shot, and checking my phone, and it's like writing stuff down, and it was a lot. I felt like, wow, this is really interrupting my ability to play golf, and I'm sure your students experience that, and I think that's normal for all golfers. But by the time I got to round like 6 or 7, and that's why I love your idea of doing mock tournaments. By the time I got to round 6 or 7, I was comfortable enough with it to where I could just kind of hit start, stick it in my pocket, and say, just go play.
Yeah,
go do
absolutely.
your thing, and we'll figure it out at the end.
Yeah, no doubt. It's it's helped me dramatically. It's helped my students. Almost every student overvalued a part of their game and undervalued a part of their game. Like we would have a lot of our bombers, the guys that just rip it, would be like, I'm not a very good driver. And then we would collect the data and be like, Potch, you're a great driver of the golf ball. You may be picking driver too often, but you're a great driver of the golf ball. By the way, you're actually pretty darn good at everything except your lag putting. Or, it's kind of like a lot of times that they would, usually in the ball striking category, probably undervalue their game a little bit and probably overvalue their putting most of the time.
Okay. Yeah. Speaking from my side, I looked at it and I knew I wasn't going to be a great driver, and my statistics said, you're not a great driver. Get faster. So number one, my takeaway was I need to get faster because I don't hit it far enough. And certainly not anywhere near some of these young bucks that I've seen at your place. 100 yards different, kind of. And then I always thought I was a good chipper. And the statistics say, no, you're not very good. I'm good enough with approach shots, and I'm actually a much better putter than I would have given myself credit for. So eye-opening, really. And I think every one of us watching can take away a lot to the tune of statistics, the value of statistics, and what they can do not only for our practice, but ultimately down the road for our score.
Sure. Another thing on that too is we've developed a way that we can do some on-course testing, and then John can basically take that data and create a strokes gained report. And a couple college programs have bought in and are doing it, and we're excited as soon as we get to play golf and the weather gets better to go out and see what we find, because we're seeing some good stuff.
Larry, here's one for you. You said it, and as I got engaged in our discussion, I kind of overlooked it. What are your students when they're not able to play golf right now? Most of them, I would imagine. Mm-hmm. What are you having them do? What have you prescribed for these competitive golfers to work on when they cannot go to the golf course?
At this moment, the golf in Kentucky is still on. We're still getting to play. The courses are still open. So that's not been a problem yet. So I don't really. And my mini tour players in Florida, they're still getting to play so far.
Okay.
So right now it hasn't been an issue.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, so for the people watching, let's say it is an issue. Okay. Let's say it becomes an issue this afternoon, which it could well do.
Yeah.
Okay. What would you say if you were to say, okay, guys, come on up? And obviously understanding that everybody's different, but if you were talking to all the kids that you have influence upon and you said, guys, girls, these three things, these two things, this is what I want you to do, what would it be?
I think they can work indoors, touch with their putter. I think touch with the putter is very undervalued. I see as just a scourge of all of these devices and things to start a ball on a line. And I think that we probably don't do enough touch work. So I would,
speed control is numero uno.
Yeah, I would talk to them about that. I would probably talk to them about doing their drills, continue to do their same swing drills, but either into a net, maybe even take like you said, crush up a paper wad, hit that, whatever. Because really, when you're talking about drilling and movement of feel, I don't know that you need to see the ball fly. So they continue to do that. Yeah. And then really pay attention to their, it's a great time for them to get their diet and their workout and their just their way of life in check. Because you know the thing that's going to get them down the road most of the time isn't their golf game. And right now is a really good time to just do an inventory of their life, and really take the time to say, this is who I am, this is who I want to be, and this is what I'm going to do about it. That would be the time to do it right now.
That's great. That's good advice, man. I like that. Fitness program. Do you have a person? Do you have a philosophy? What do you want your kids to do? Is it a program that they all do? Recommend for everyone? Or do you just say, hey, I recommend you getting with a fitness person and go with that?
We have a fitness facility that's on the property here. And then I do have a fitness coach that has developed programs for all of my students. To me, it's a way of life. I mean, it's a year-round deal. I mean, the game is changing. It changed a long time ago. Better athletes are playing golf. It's just something that they need to get comfortable doing. And I'm trying to not only get them used to doing it, but I want to get it to where when they go to college, that their system's not shocked when they start the college program. Because sometimes if the kid doesn't know what's getting ready to happen, that first year is really difficult for that player. Yeah. And so we've got to get them as strong and as mentally tough as we can. And that mental toughness comes in the gym. It's just a big part of it.
Yeah. You know, Larry, I played the Division I college golf, and this was seemingly 100 years ago in the late 80s, and we had a good team. We were top 20 Division I, and our coach one day came up with a brilliant idea. He said, right, guys, we need to get fitter. And he said, today, I want everyone to show up at the track. We had this 400-meter track on campus. He said, I want everyone to show up at the track. And it was at like 2 o'clock. I forget which day of the week it was. And we showed up, and he said, okay, give me 2 laps. Whip it around 2 laps. And we were all dying at the end after 2 laps. And he said, okay, boys, that was good. We're going to do this again next week. And we need to be ready to compete and ready to take down our competition. And we never came back next week. That was it. In 4 years, we did 2 laps. And so it really has changed so much. And that's part of the reason why I think, the rollback is a thing at the moment. Because when Jack Nicklaus was around, Jack was just a big, strong guy, and Arnie was just a big, strong guy, and they could hit the ball far, naturally. Nowadays, there are lots of big, strong guys and girls hitting the ball farther simply because they understand training and the level of competition has gone up because everyone's doing better things.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And so if you want to stay relevant, you better do it. You had better do it.
It's not an option, really. It really isn't.
That's right. That's right. It is not an option any longer. Larry, okay, and this is something that comes up with dealing with junior golfers oftentimes, and that is parents. What borders do you establish early on, and tell us some stories, if you would?
Well, first I'll say this: I'm getting better, but I'm not good at it. So I'll be the first to say that I'm not great at dealing with parents. So, but I think that
in what way? In what way you give in to them, or you're too mean to them?
I'm probably a little too old school. So yeah, unfortunately, but I feel like education and constant contact is very important.
Yeah,
you have to supply the parent with education, because the thing about it is they're not going to really trust you. You're the coach, okay? But they can get on the internet and they can see all this stuff that's going on, and they're gonna feel like they've got it all figured out because they've got information at their fingertips. So you have to constantly educate the parents, stay in contact with them, let them understand that, yeah, you know what, so-and-so is using an arm lock putter, but this is not what we need to do with Johnny at this moment in time, or you know, whatever it may be. If you can imagine this, I always say it's like this room's full of balloons. Okay, so you got a balloon here, it's stack and tilt, and a balloon over there is 64-degree wedge, and this next balloon is arm lock putter, and the next one over here is putting mirror and whatever. So you got this it's all full, and the parents, they're just grabbing the balloons. You know, and then my job is to slow down the grabbing just a little bit because they're going to want to grab as many balloons as they can, you know, and it's hard. It's really difficult. And times have changed, and good, bad, and different. We have to adapt, and I'm trying to get better at that. But you know, as far as with the kid goes, I want the kid to know that I'm so invested in them, and so that I'm basically, I call myself a golf butler. I'm not look, we're not important. What's really important right now are doctors and nurses, and we just teach golf. So the reality of it is I'm just a butler. So I work for that kid. That's the deal. But I let everyone understand, the kid know that we got a triangle, and so we got the kid on top, and I'm in the bottom corner, and the parents in this corner. So yeah. I call the parents the wallet. So all of this in the middle is to support the kid that's on the top of the triangle. But at any moment in time, the wallet can flip the triangle upside down because the wallet has the ultimate control. Yeah. And so, but again, I think you got to really get that kid to want to respect the parent. Never take the you want the kid to understand that the parent's always right. You never want to take the side of the kid most of the time, but let the kid know you're there for them. That's important.
That's cool.
That's good advice. It's tough. Again, I've been doing this since 1996, and I can't. I'm definitely not the guy to write the book on how to handle parents. I can say that. Yeah. Okay.
I'm looking for that person. Larry, a kind of a deep question I wanted to ask you is, obviously some kids make it and some kids don't. And there are some kids who, when they're 14, 15, you would put all the money you got on them because they're that good that they're going to make it. And they don't. And there's that kid who's number 5, 6 on the high school team who no one ever looks twice at, who makes it. Mm-hmm. What you got for me? Why?
I think that the ones that make it do well with the distractions. They handle those really well. They love the game. They love the journey. They play for the right reasons. Mm. The player needs to allow themselves to be delightfully surprised at where the game's going to take them. Instead of having, and I get a little bit of, sometimes my parents don't like me saying this, but expectations aren't great. They're not necessarily great. So if the player can just take the day, control what they can control, the controllables, and just let the game take them somewhere, good things are going to happen. But if the player has this preconceived expectation of, well, so-and-so's doing this and so-and-so's doing that, Andrew, the players that don't make it, most of the time weren't necessarily – now here's the thing is, if they have the talent, okay – but most of the players that don't reach their best golf, most of the time they weren't playing for the right reasons. Mm. And their best golf may be, here's the thing, here's the kicker. What they should sign up to be is, if they're a Division III player, they need to sign up to be the best Division III player they can be. There's not like, hey, that you play to be a tour player. That's not the goal. You play to be the best that you can be, and then if you do that, maybe at some point in time you surprise yourself and you end up and you're on tour. That's what I believe. I truly been doing this, like I said, since '96. I've been lucky enough to work with players that ranked #1 in the world. I've been lucky enough to work with players that were extremely low down the chart, and just all of a sudden blew up and totally shocked me, shocked themselves and everyone around them. And that's really what this game is all about. It's just let it happen.
I remember, there will always be the Ernie Elses, the Phil Mickelsons, and the Tiger Woods. Just the Tiger Woods is not a once a generation; he's once a century. But those once a generation type players who come along and from when they're 6 years old, they're winning everything. And when they're 12, they win everything. And when they're 25, they win everything. And those type of golfers are in a different echelon. But I always remember playing in college, and we played against University of Arizona a few times. And there was a player on that team who you've heard of, we've all heard of, and he was number 4 or number 5 man. This is in his senior year, okay? That player was Jim Furyk. Nobody can tell me who the number 1, 2, 3, and 4 players were unless they're watching, okay? Their moms could, but nobody else could. Simply because, and I put it down to this, Jim Furyk never lost his love for the game. You said it, Ian Baker Finch said it the other day. You've got to love the game. And number 2, they continually improve. Jim Furyk, I'm not sure if he's better this year than he was last year. He's got to be he's got to be very close to 50. Okay. Sure. But Jim Furyk has managed to improve from when he was 18 to when he was 48. He's gotten better every single year. How do you do that? That's amazing. And really, I think if golfers can look at it this way, if I just keep getting a little bit better every single year, if you get a little bit better for a decade, how much better are you at the end of the decade than the start of the decade? And it doesn't have to be leaps and bounds. And there really is, the thing I love about your program, Larry, and a big part of the reason why I wanted to talk to you today is because of the long-term nature of it. There is no magic. There are no miracle cures. And I know there's a lot of people who go on Instagram and social media, golfers who are looking for that magical, miracle, one-time downswing fix to their golf swing. And it really doesn't work that way. And unfortunately, in today's world of clicks and likes and headlines and fancy social media things where we don't have a lot of time, people are far more likely to click a golf article titled, "Smash the driver by shallowing your downswing," okay, versus a long-term plan to play better golf. Which one you clicking on? Okay.
Oh, every time, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yet one is a recipe for long-term success, and it is going to have a higher success rate than that clickbait one about smashing the driver by shallowing your downswing. And ultimately, when it comes to golf, old school still rules, and that means you're going to have to work. There are no shortcuts. You're going to have to do a lot of good things, like understand statistics, like stay fit and strong, like get faster, like deal with distractions. And I think if juniors, if young people of today who have a much harder time in doing all this stuff, I think, than you and I did when we were kids and trying to learn to play good golf, because that was kind of all we had. I know for myself, it was like, get the shag bag, go to the range, go hit bulls, because that was the best thing I had. I would rather do that than anything else. Whereas these kids have a lot of stuff going on today.
Absolutely. You know, Andrew, the thing that I tell them all the time is they have to give themselves permission to get good at this game. You know, this game doesn't come easy for anyone. There's, you know, it just doesn't. And too many times they don't want to give themselves permission to get good. They want to give themselves all kinds of reasons not to get good. You know, it's just like, well, if you've got to do all of these things, how could you possibly be good? Be like, so you take a player and so they have to have a 2-degree end-out path with a 1.5 face to path, whatever, to hit it straight. No, we need to know the numbers, but if you thought about everything you have to do to make the ball go straight, it would just blow your mind. You would be lost. You know, but so just understand that it's going to, there's going to be a lot of days that aren't good in this game. Just understand that as a player. Give yourself permission to get good. Give yourself what you need from the excitement standpoint to face the day and get better today. That's all you can control. You can't control anything else. There's not one thing a player can do besides control what they're going to do next. That's it.
Okay, Larry, we've been talking junior golf here, and golfers getting really good and what they can do to get really good. But now we're going to get to the important stuff, okay? I'm going to ask you, okay? You can have any cut of steak grilled to perfection in the world. What you having? Come on, this is taking too long, right? You should know these answers, Larry.
No, I've got 3. I love a tomahawk ribeye on the green egg. It's so good.
Very nice. I like that.
I love a nice a prime New York strip, and I like a nice tenderloin. Those 3.
Okay, so tenderloin. Do you know? And maybe it's a different bone-in ribeye. I see. Maybe it's a different term. Do you know what a Chateaubriand is?
Yes.
Okay, Chateaubriand. You can just sign me up for that.
Yeah.
Just sign me up for that. Chateaubriand, which is pretty much a filet cooked sideways, so you can really get a good crust on the outside with all that heat going through the grain. That is my action. Now, so let's take it a step further. If you're going on the smoker and there's only one thing you could smoke on the green egg, what's it going to be? Are we going pork, chicken, or beef?
Chicken, because and the only reason I'm not good yet at brisket, at beef. I'm good at that one cut of meat is kicking my butt. Getting brisket just right.
I'm going to do one this week.
I'll
post my pictures.
It makes me feel bad, but it probably I love just nice drumettes, little chicken wings, and things like that on the grill. It's simple, easy to make them taste good. I love doing that. It's my favorite.
Cool, mate. We've eaten a few meals together. We've certainly got to do some more one of these days. Days. Okay, so I got a final question for you, and it pertains obviously to our junior golfers. What would you say is the biggest set of obstacles to their success? What must they watch for more than anything else?
If we assume that all the worldly things are taken care of, alcohol, drugs, tobacco, partying, whatever, we get that out of the way. Okay.
Well, that's a big assumption there.
Okay, so first of all, if they want to make it and they're doing those things, good luck. But
yeah, good point.
I would say just dealing with the distractions, just dealing with the room full of balloons. That's the thing, because it's not just the parents that want to grab the balloons. The player does too. It's real. Players. I've seen players who are the most confident players I've ever seen, who did everything right, who couldn't resist doing something like someone else, and that's a distraction. For whatever reason, the best player who maybe's ever played is debatable, but Tiger Woods wanted to change for a reason. He wanted to change something for a reason, and lucky enough for Tiger is he wasn't. You couldn't really mess him up. I have a strong stance on this. Anyone could have been Tiger's golf coach. Anyone could have been his instructor. He wasn't there's nothing you could do to make him play much worse. There's nothing that could have derailed his game. But like, for instance, we've had plenty of players like Ian Baker who wanted to hit it farther. And maybe, we don't know, I haven't asked him this, I don't know Ian, but maybe trying to hit it farther cost him 5 more wins and another 10 years on tour. Who knows? I'm not really sure, but it's just normal for the player sometimes to kind of want something they don't have. And I would say I would put that in the category of a distraction.
Okay, that's interesting. Stay, essentially, as a player, know who you are and stay true to that. Understand, yes, Zach Johnson, you're never going to swing it at 114. So let's kind of stick in your speed zone and be really good with wedges and really good with putting, and you're gonna make the most out of it that way.
Well, maybe Zach gets that. Maybe he gets a mile an hour a year. Maybe you put him on a program where you slow it down a lot. Just too many times a player wants the 5 miles an hour they don't have. They want it in a month. Yeah. And the reality of it is they're really good at everything else.
That's me. I'll take it. Can I get it yesterday, please?
Yeah, exactly.
Amazon Prime. Ship it tomorrow.
Yeah. No doubt.
No, that's great advice, Larry. Mate, I've got to tell you, I look up to you. I appreciate your just steadfastness to being. I like what you said. You said give yourself permission to be good. And I know this, when it comes to coaching golfers and helping golfers be their best, you give yourself permission to be good, and that is evidenced by the program you run, the type of people that you go to the effort and the expense of bringing in to talk to your coaches, to talk to your students. And I know every year that's something that you do. You bring coaches in from all over the world so that and this is not a money-making thing for you. You do it solely so that they can share their expertise with your staff, and you guys can take that to your students to ultimately make them better. And I take my hat off to that. I think that's really a great thing to do. You keep giving yourself permission to be good. You're there. There's no reason you can't get better. There's no reason we all can't get better. So thank you, mate. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I really enjoyed all of the times we've spent together. We've this has been a lot of fun.
Let's do some more, Larry. Let's do some more.
Absolutely.
And just an FYI before everybody goes, I am going to be, I believe this is episode 9, believe it or not. This is the 9th one of these I've done in the last 5 years. It's actually been about 5 days, but it feels like 5 years. I'm recording them and I'm loading them up slowly. As soon as our Wi-Fi, we have a freshman in college who's home, and he can burn up some Wi-Fi. I tell you what, as my cousin says, he says my Wi-Fi is more Y than Fi. And ours is definitely that way at the moment. So as soon as I get an opportunity, as he gets out the house, I'm going to upload some of these into YouTube so you can all watch them and refer back to them, because there really is some good information. So thanks very much, partner. Appreciate it, eh?
Great. Thank you.
See you, Larry. Cheers.
Bye.